The pledge this morning will be led by Alex Crownsey, Ellie Johnson, Kinley Wolf, Baylor Wolf from Challenge School, Denver, Colorado.
Please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The House will come to order. Mr. Kohler, please take the roll.
Representatives Arndt. Becker J.
It's for you. Give me
Becker
a second.
K. Brown. Buck. Buckner. Carver. Conti. Quorum. Court. Danielson. Del Grosso. Dorr. Duran. Esgar. Everett. Fields. Foote. Garnett. Janal. Representative Janal.
I'm back too.
Representative Janal is present. Hamner. Humphrey. Joshi. Kagan. Klingenschmidt. Kraft-Tharp. Landgraf. Lawrence. Lebsock. Lee. Leonard. Lontine. Lundeen. McCann. Representative McCann. McCann excused. Melton. Mitch Bush. Moreno. Navarro. Neville. Nordberg. Pabon. Pedersen. Primavera. Priola. Rankin. Ransom. Rosenthal. Rupe. Ryden. Sane. Salazar. Sias. Singer. Thurlow. Tyler. Van Winkle. Vigil. Representative McCann is present. Willett. Williams. Wilson. Windholz. Winter. Wist. Young. We're done. So, just the speaker's excuse.
With 64 members present, one excused, a quorum is present. Representative Windholz. Representative Windholz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the reading of the journal of the 27th day of April 2016 be dispensed with and approved by and corrected by the chief clerk.
You have heard the motion that the journal be adopted as corrected by the chief clerk. All in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Motion is passed. Announcements and introductions. Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Members, I'm proud to let you know that today is officially the Day Without Hate. So a couple years ago, we did a resolution on this and everybody got a t-shirt. The Day Without Hate was started by students at Stanley Lake High School, which is in my district in Westminster, as saying that if we're going to make the world a better place, if we're going to help people all get along, we're going to start school by school. And this concept of the Day Without Hate, it has moved from just Stanley Lake to schools within Jefferson County, to schools within Colorado, and is now international, that on this day every year we stop and celebrate a day without hate. So members, I'd like to ask you to join the students at Stanley Lake High School in making this a day without hate. Thank you.
Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And we are joined today by students, elementary school, middle school, and high school students from across House District 3 who have been personally picked by their principals as examples of young people with outstanding accomplishment and outstanding character. I would ask them to stand and receive our applause. We're so proud to be with you today. If the stellar students from House District 3 would stand, thank you, and receive our applause. We're honored to have you here.
Welcome, students. Representative Winter, Representative Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Today we have a group of high school girls from the Smart School in Denver that are part of the Ignite program. If you all could stand up, we have some of them back there and some of them back there. And Ignite is to ignite political ambition in our young women. They've been talking a lot about the bills we've been working on down here, so please stop by and ask them about their political ambition, and let's welcome them to the chamber.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Well, unfortunately, I lost my kids. They just walked out, but I had 21 students from the Challenge School from House District 41 who was led by their teacher, David Beck. So even though they're gone, please help me welcome them to the Capitol.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, it's my distinct honor to introduce to you all into the House a former colleague of ours. Former Representative Leo Lucero from Pueblo is here with his family. He served for 14 years from 1971 through 1984. So please help me in welcoming him back to the floor.
Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. So a couple wonderful things happened this morning. So first of all, we had our third annual Denver Colorado Sister City celebration, and folks came in from all over the state to celebrate all the great efforts that they're making to promote more multiculturalism and interaction between citizens of Colorado and people from around the world. So folks came in from Littleton, Brighton, Broomfield, Arvada, Denver, Aurora, and other places, and it was really delightful. We had dancers from Nepal, India, Poland, Kenya, and as well as Iran. So it was wonderful to see this, the multiculturalism and diversity at work in our state, promoting peace and love and friendship and trade and commerce. So I also have the announcement today, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, of some visitors from my home district, Southeast Denver, House District 9. So would they all like to stand? We have Brenda and Jan and Marty and a couple other folks as well. So let's give them a hand. Thank you.
Welcome, constituents of House District 9. You are well served by Representative Rosenthal. Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Last week, I believe you got a notice on your desk that the MS Society is having their walk tomorrow. I guess it's still on from what I've heard, but if anybody wanted to do the walk but really doesn't want to do it out in the snow, Senator Newell sent some envelopes over that people can contribute to the MS Society. So if you're interested, I have the envelopes on my desk.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Good morning, colleagues. If you're wearing your college gear, logos, sweatshirts, and apparel, please stand up so we can see how pretty our college colors. And you know what? After we're finished this morning, we'll take a group photo. So stay tuned. Also, I want to take this opportunity. We have a birthday on the floor, so I need to call down the Capitol Choir. And this morning we're celebrating, and I think she just disappeared, Representative Arndt. I just saw her. There she is. Your birthday, right?
Let's do it. Let's do it anyway.
Now, just a minute here.
I think that motion is still in order.
Okay, then I have an issue with Maryland, and so we need to...
That's out of order, Representative Hamner.
We need to check our records. So what's so funny is our records say that today is Jenny Arndt's birthday. And so last year, all day we wished her happy birthday, and we sang to her, and she didn't tell us till the end of the day that it wasn't her birthday. So I don't know, members, should we go ahead and sing to her even though it's not her birthday?
Yes.
What do you think? Should we confer about this? I think we've decided that what the heck, we're going to wish Representative Arndt a birthday whenever it is. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Representative Arndt. Happy birthday to you.
Whenever it is.
Is there anyone else whose birthday it's not today that would like to be sung to? Madam Majority Leader, you want us to sing to you? Is there any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none. The next order of business is third reading, final passage of bills. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1437.
House Bill 1437 by Representatives Mitch Bush and Wilson, also Senator Todd, concerning the assessment of penalties for school bus stop arm violations.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1437 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1437. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Buckner, Kagan, and Ryden. Close the machine. With 39 aye votes, 26 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1437 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1362.
House Bill 1362 by Representative Young, also Senator Martinez-Huminec, concerning the transfer of the functions of the license plate auction group to the Colorado Disability Funding Committee in connection with making appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1362 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1362 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Kagan. Close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 2 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1362 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1398.
House Bill 1398 by Representatives Young and Landgraf, all Senators Martinez, Humenick, and Steadman, concerning the requirement that the Department of Human Services use a request for proposal process to contract with an entity to implement recommendations to the Respite Care Task Force in connection with making appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1398 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1398 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Melton. Close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 24 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1398 passes. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1450.
House Bill 1450 by Representative Hollinghorst, also Senator Steadman and Guzman, concerning the allocation of additional state revenue made available for expenditure due to the enactment of legislation during the 2016 regular legislative session.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1450 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1450 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Mr. Minority Leader. Close the machine. With 43 aye votes, 22 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1415 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1453.
1420?
1420.
House Bill 1420.
House Bill 1420 by Representative Hollinghorst, also Senator Crowder, concerning the creation of an enterprise that is exempt from the requirements of Section 20 of Article 10 of the State Constitution related statutory provisions to administer a fee-based healthcare affordability and sustainability program for hospitals in connection with making appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1420 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1420 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
Jinx us.
Close the machine. With 39 aye votes, 26 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1420 passes. Co-sponsors.
That's on the next one.
Close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over House Bill 1454 until Monday, May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1454 will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1453.
House Bill 1453 by Representative Hamner, also Senator Lambert, concerning measures to enhance cybersecurity in connection with making appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1453 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1453 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 52 aye votes, 13 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1453 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 106.
Senate Bill 106 by Senator Holbert, also Representative Salazar, concerning measures to facilitate the efficient administration of Colorado laws governing campaign finance.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 106 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 106 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Williams and Wilson. Close the machine. With 59 aye votes, 6 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 106 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 142.
Senate Bill 142 by Senator Scott, also Representative Ryan, concerning modernization of election law provisions in connection with correcting statutory citations, updating terms and procedures to reflect modern elections administration, conforming state law to federal law, eliminating redundancies and obsolete references and practices, harmonizing durational residency requirements for certain local government elections, and making appropriation.
Nice job, Mr. Kohler. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 142 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 142 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 58 aye votes, 7 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 142 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 182.
Senate Bill 182 by Senator Lambert, also Representative Young, concerning technical revisions to the statutes governing the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 182 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 182 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative, close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 3 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 182 passes. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1446.
House Bill 1446 by Representative Hamner, also Senator Marble, concerning authorizing a local education provider to determine the language in which a student who is an English language learner takes reading assessments in kindergarten through third grade.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1446 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1446 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative, close the machine. With 43 aye votes, 22 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1446 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 006.
Senate Bill 6 by Senator Martinez-Umanic, also Representative Size, concerning the use of qualified insurance brokers to enroll eligible participants in health benefit plans through the Colorado Health Benefit Exchange.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 6 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 6 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative, close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 2 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 6 passes. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over House Bill 1426 until May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1426 will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1439.
House Bill 1439 by Representative Garnett, also Senator Holbrook, concerning the creation of new alcohol beverage license under the Colorado Liquor Code to permit lodging and entertainment facilities to sell alcohol beverages by the drink for consumption on licensed premises in connection with allowing the holder of a tavern license to convert the tavern license to a lodging and entertainment license or other appropriate license under specified conditions.
Nice work, Mr. Kohler. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1439 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1439 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1439 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1394.
House Bill 1394 by Representative Young, also Senator Grantham, concerning clarifying definitions related to at-risk persons.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1394 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1394 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. We had 38 aye votes, 27 no votes, 0 excused. House Bill 1394 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1438.
House Bill 1438 by Representative Winter, also Senator Martinez-Humana, concerning provision of reasonable accommodations by an employer for persons who have a condition related to pregnancy.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1438 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1438 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 40 aye votes, 25 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1438 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1393.
House Bill 1393 by Representatives Esgar and Foote, also Senator Cook, concerning procedures for order testing for communicable diseases.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1393 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1393 on third reading, final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Minority Leader, do you need to take a... Just kidding. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1393 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 164.
Senate Bill 164 by Senator Cook, also Representative Lee, concerning clarification that the private probation supervision provider can file legal process against probation under his or her supervision.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 164 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 164 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 46 aye votes, 19 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 164 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1443.
House Bill 1443, by Representative Singer, Alpha Senator Heath, concerning requiring youth sports organizations to inform parents whether the organizations have conducted criminal background checks of persons who work with children.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1443 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1443 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 27 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1443 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1112.
House Bill 1112 by Representative Landgraf, Alpha Senator Crowder, concerning the creation of the Training Veterans to Train Their Own Service Dogs pilot program.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1112 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1112 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 55 aye votes, 10 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1112 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1117.
House Bill 1117 by Representatives Kagan and Sane, also Senators Aguilar and Cook, concerning requirement that custodial interrogations related to investigations for certain serious felonies be electronically recorded in connection with making appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1117 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1117 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Singer. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1117 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1178.
House Bill 1178 by Representative Salazar, also Senator Ulibarri, concerning in-state tuition for American Indians from tribes with historical ties to Colorado in connection with making, reducing, and appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1178 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1178 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 35 aye votes, 30 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1178 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1194.
House Bill 1194 by Representatives Mitch Buschenbecker, J. Also Senator Sonberg, restoring a temporary income tax deduction for a portion of lease payments received by a qualified taxpayer for leasing the taxpayer's agricultural asset to an eligible beginning farmer or rancher.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1194 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1194 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 49 aye votes, 16 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1194 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1222.
House Bill 1222 by Representatives Rankin and Tyler, also Senators Todd and Hill, concerning increasing the availability of supplemental online education resources in connection with creating a statewide supplemental online and blended learning program and making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1222 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1222 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Becker J. Close the machine. With 52 aye votes, 13 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1222 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over House Bill 1376 until May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1376 will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 124.
Senate Bill 124 by Senator Grantham, also Representatives Priola and Becker K, concerning sales and use tax treatment of equipment used for processing recovered materials.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 124 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 124 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 11 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 124 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 192.
Senate Bill 192 by Senator Lambert, also of Young, concerning a needs assessment tool for persons eligible for long-term services and sports, including persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities in connection with making an appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 192 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 192 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 52 aye votes, 13 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 192 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1440.
House Bill 1440 by Representatives Wilson and Pedersen, also Senators Johnston and Holbert, concerning reducing administrative requirements that pertain to the elementary and secondary public education system.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1440 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. This has been going so extremely well this morning. I move for permission to offer a third reading amendment.
Ooh, Representative Wilson. Can you provide a copy? Let's see what you got, Representative Wilson.
All right, I'm going to confirm that this is a good Senate amendment. Or a good amendment.
Third reading amendment.
Oh,
House will be in a brief recess. House will come back to order. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I was actually kidding on this. I just needed to give the Speaker Pro Tem a rest break here. But no. We do offer this as a third reading amendment. It's a technical amendment to change the word educator to teacher in the bill, because in our data-driven world, believe it or not, there's a differentiation between educator and teacher in the database. So in order to make this work the way it's supposed to, it has to be designated as teacher.
Representative Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a good amendment, just a technical fix, and I ask for your support.
All right, so the question before us is permission to offer a third reading amendment. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. I think that's a no vote from Gwendolyn. Representative Buck. Close the machine. With 61 aye votes, 4 no votes, 0 excused, permission to offer a third reading amendment is passed. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, and thank you, members, for permission. I move L002 to House Bill 1440.
L007, Representative Wilson.
L007. I apologize.
No problem. Motion, the question before us is the adoption of L007. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Sias. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, Amendment L007 is passed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1440 as amended on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1440 as amended on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Pedersen. Close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 11 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1440 as amended is passed. Co-sponsors. Gwendolyn will be added as a co-sponsor. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1457.
House Bill 1457, Representatives Garnett and Wilson, also Senators Neville and Garcia, concerning clarification of the existing sales and use tax exemption for residential energy sources.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1457 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1457 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1457 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 73.
Senate Bill 73 by Senator Grantham, also Representative Lawrence, concerning the authority of the state auditor to audit the use of state gaming tax revenues transferred from the state historical fund directly to gaming cities for historic preservation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 73 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 73 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 73 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 165.
Senate Bill 165 by Senator Grantham, also representative Young, concerning the requirements of an insurance company to be deemed to maintain a home office or regional home office in the state for purposes of the tax on insurance premiums collected by the insurance company.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 165 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 165 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Williams. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 165 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1451.
House Bill 1451 by Representatives Ryan and Rankin, also Senator Scott and Heath, concerning the requirement that the Department of Personnel create a procurement code working group to study ways to improve the state's procurement code.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the passage of House Bill 1451 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1451 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
Is the amendment in there? Well, when I read it, I'm going to need to know.
Representative Esgar. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1451 passes. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 177.
Senate Bill 177 by Senators Martinez, Umenick, and Heath, also represents Hollingworth and Lawrence, concerning technical modifications to legislation enacted in 2015 to promote an equitable financial contribution among affected public bodies in connection with urban redevelopment projects allocating tax revenues.
Okay. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. You're doing a great job there, Corey. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 177 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 177 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 3 no votes, 0 excused, Senate Bill 177 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over Senate Bill 111 until May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, Senate Bill 111 will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader. Next order of business is consideration of conference committee reports. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1231.
House Bill 1231, by Representative Lebsack, also Senator Carroll, concerning the limited use of automated vehicle identification systems designed to detect disobedience to a traffic signal.
Representative Lebsack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move that the House adopt the first report of the first conference committee on House Bill 1231.
To the conference committee report, Representative Lebsack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And members, I just want to make sure that everybody fully understands what you're voting on, because the conference committee is not what came out of the House. The conference committee, on a bipartisan vote, after at a 5-to-1 vote, then it passed the Senate 23-12. Essentially, the conference committee becomes the bill. And what we're doing now is banning red light cameras statewide effective December 31st, 2016. And so if you want a statewide ban effective December 31st, 2016, you'll be a yes on the conference committee and you'll be a yes on the bill. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there further discussion on the adoption? Representative Becker J.
That's hilarious. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, the conference committee went through this, came to a great compromise in making this bill just a pure red light camera ban. I think that's appropriate as we move forward. I would ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion on the motion to adopt? Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. As I understand it, this is a complete ban on all red light cameras, and that just goes too far. This is a local issue. This is something where cities and towns across our state are using this technology for safety of the people who live in their areas. And this is something where, I understand where this bill started, and it was much more modest as it was passed out of the House. But when it came back to us, this is just, we cannot pass this. This is a wholesale taking away of local control, and we cannot pass this, and I will not vote for it. Thank you.
Representative Lebsack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, and I would ask the members, let's vote on the conference committee, and then we can debate the bill itself. That's my suggestion.
Is there any further discussion on the adoption of the conference committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the first conference committee report to House Bill 1231. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 35 aye votes, 30 no votes, 0 excused, the first conference committee report is adopted. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1231 as amended.
Is there any further discussion on the repassage of House Bill 1231 as amended? Representative Priola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, if you remember when this bill passed out, I voted against it because as the bill stood then, it was basically a ban on red light cameras on dirt roads and cul-de-sacs. This bill now is is similar to the bill last year that I voted for, so I will be voting yes. I think that local governments abuse this and abuse the public trust, and this is a step in the right direction. And by the way, I did dress for College Day. I was in the business school, and this is the way I dress in college.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. This is, in my district, a matter of life and death. We had an intersection at University Boulevard and Bellevue Avenue where people were being killed because it was a very dangerous intersection. We put up a red light camera, and now everybody knows that you can't just go barreling through that intersection. The deaths went down to 0. We are talking about saving lives here. This is a bill way too far. People are going to start dying again at some dangerous intersections. If you pass this bill, I urge a no vote.
Let's just remind everyone that on this motion, you only have the ability to speak twice. So Representative Levestock, I assume you want to save your rebuttal until the end. Otherwise, you'll be banned from speaking on the motion again. No? Okay. Do you want to speak? Okay. Representative Levestock.
Thank you. Members, 11 states have banned red light cameras outright. This is nothing unique that we're doing here. 11 states have recognized that red light cameras are not only a violation of your civil liberties, but of your family's privacy. 11 states in every single region of the country. In the Northeast, Maine and New Hampshire, New Jersey have banned red light cameras. In the South, Arkansas and Mississippi has banned red light cameras. In the Midwest, Wisconsin, states like Wisconsin have banned red light cameras. In the Southwest, New Mexico, Nevada have banned red light cameras. And in the West, our neighbors to the north, Montana, have banned red light cameras. This is nothing novel here. This is nothing unique. This is going on. Citizens all over the country are recognizing this is a violation of your privacy. Current law allows a red light camera violating your personal privacy on every single signalized traffic light in the state of Colorado. That's what our current law says. Members, this is just a reasonable bill that protects your citizens' privacy. And I ask for a yes vote.
Representative Court.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. You know, I think that this is definitely a local control issue, and I think when I look at the people at the mic, there's a lot of urban people up here. And I totally agree that Representative Priola has a reason to be concerned about dirt roads and cul-de-sacs. So let's leave this as a local control issue so that those who live on dirt roads and cul-de-sacs don't have them. And those of us in the urban core area where we know this is a safety concern have the right to continue using these. I urge a no vote because my constituents live in the urban core and they want to see this safety measure continued. Thank you.
Representative Garnett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem and members. I would say it doesn't really matter how you vote on this because there's going to be red light cameras forever because it's going to get vetoed. This is exactly the bill that got vetoed last year. And so we're not going to you're not threading the needle here. We're not listening to what the governor said in his veto message last year. So it doesn't matter how you vote, red light cameras will live on. Instead of moving forward in a responsible way to solve this problem for the state of Colorado, it will be status quo and we'll have this debate again next session.
Representative Nordberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem and members. I rise in support of House Bill 1231 in its current form. I remain convinced now more than ever that red light cameras have everything to do with raising revenue and nothing to do with safety. And if you look at the intersections in which municipalities are placing these cameras and the correlating traffic accident data at those intersections, I believe you will come to the same conclusion. But more important than that, these cameras are fundamentally unfair. I believe they're unconstitutional, and they without question limit one's right to due process under the law. Now, with respect to my friend from Denver, Representative Garnett, the bill from last year, the one the governor vetoed, this is a different bill. But quite frankly, that's irrelevant. This is the people's house. This is not the governor's house. The people have spoken on this issue. It's now time to ban these cameras. Let's do the right thing. Let's support this bill, and I'd ask for a yes vote.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, and Representative Becker, thank you for lowering the podium for me. Members, I am opposed to the bill how it is now. I voted no last year. In my community, our community, and our city leaders have seen an actual decrease in fatalities, and the cost has actually been revenue neutral in the 3 cameras we have. And the reason I voted yes on this original bill is because those 3 cameras are on arterial roads in Pueblo, and we have seen accidents reduced, fatalities reduced, and there has not been a bump in revenue due to these cameras. So I stand to oppose the bill as it is today. So I will change my vote to a no.
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Revenue, costs, rights, to me, those arguments are all beside the point of allowing local control for an issue that should be handled on a decision by the elected officials in that community who hire and oversee their chief of police, who usually makes these decisions. If there's an abuse in the revenue, and it goes back to city council, and that's what city council can say, we're doing this, we're not doing this. They're elected by the people of those towns. That's the issue to me, and I will never stand here and say that we're going to tell the city council what to do in terms of how they regulate red light cameras in our municipalities or rural areas. Thank you.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I think Representative Nordberg said it absolutely right. This is the people's house. This is not the governor's house. And one thing that we discuss an awful lot down here at the House of Representatives is local control. But guess what local control bows to? It bows to statewide concern. When there is an issue of statewide concern, local control bows to it. Now, if you want to run for city council, go run for city council. You are in the House of Representatives, which means that you are here for statewide issues. Now, these red light cameras violate constitutional due process. We know that. And yet, city councils do not try to correct that. And because they don't try to correct it, then we have to do something about it. I don't know if you remember that 2 years ago on a similar bill, I read a court case to this body, a Supreme Court case that talked about something very similar, which were the red light vans that were posted up. And we passed a law prohibiting it. And the same arguments were made that, well, these speed vans, these speeding vans, are about public safety. Exact same argument. And we also learned, too, that they were making a lot of money off of these vans. And it really didn't show much of a marked decrease in public safety or increase in public safety. It was just a moneymaker. Red light cameras are the exact same thing, except they just can't drive off like a van can. Members, we need to ban this. And city councils need to retool their efforts on trying to figure out how to meet due process, because the Constitution prevails here, how to meet due process with safety. Red light cameras is not a way to do it. I stand in strong support of what is now House Bill 1231, and I ask you to please be state representatives. Stop being city council. Be state representatives and deal with the statewide concern that we are dealing with here today. Thank you.
Representative Becker Kay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I want to clarify a few things. Along with Representative Becker J., wherever he may be now, I was on the conference committee. So this is what the conference committee tried to do. The conference committee first voted on passing the House version of the bill, and that failed. Then the conference committee tried to pass the Senate version of the bill, and that failed. So this was the compromise effort. I continue to be a no vote on this bill, but I appreciate the efforts of the sponsors involved to find something that didn't do what last year did, that got vetoed, but went far enough to meet those folks who want a ban. My concern is I agree with folks who say this shouldn't be used for revenue raising. My city, though, doesn't use it for revenue raising. My city uses it as a safety tool for those intersections that have the biggest accident statistics. And in that sense, it is a very good tool for law enforcement that keeps my family safe and other families safe. I want our cities to have the tools it needs to keep those families, to keep all of us safe. But in the meantime, I do appreciate the limit that says only photo radars banned and not, only red light cameras are banned and not photo radar. In that sense, just to clarify, it is a different bill than last year, and our sponsors did try to try a whole bunch of different stuff, and there's just a whole variety of different opinion on this. But for the reasons I stated, I'm still a no on the bill.
Representative Conti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, in the city of Littleton, we actually saw that there were 5 intersections that had these red light cameras, and in 3 out of 5 intersections, it made absolutely no safety improvement whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, one of the intersections actually saw an increase in accidents because of rear end accidents, people trying to stop too soon, and not being able to stop in time for these. I can tell you the safety concerns are limited, and the violation of due process increasingly in a lot of these cities, because they know that they have violated due process. If you don't send in the payment, there's no penalty. They can't come after you because they know they are legally in the wrong. This is a matter of statewide concern. Listen to your constituents. I ask for a no vote on this. Excuse me, a yes vote on this bill.
Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, I rise in support of this bill. In Colorado Springs, we had 4 red light cameras. When we elected our mayor back, he removed all 4 of them. Nothing happened. Actually, there have been studies where red light cameras are put, the rear end collisions actually increase. So there is no argument for safety here. Actually, this is all done for the revenues. And we have heard this time after time, even in the committees. Last year, we heard Mr. Gallagher came and said there was no proof that this was for safety. It was all for revenues. Again, I ask for yes vote on this bill.
Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And it's very regrettable that I have to come up to the well again to speak about this bill. I heard the assertion that this is an issue of statewide concern. This is not at all an issue of statewide concern. This is a local issue. This should be dealt with at the local level. How dare we, as the State House, tell cities and towns what to do with their intersections. I mean, what's next? We're going to like tell them what to do with their medians and their flower boxes? This is ridiculous. We cannot and we should not be hyper micromanaging their intersections. And I know that there have been people talk about statistics and studies, and I suppose anybody could come up with any study that they so choose. But I've been contacted by multiple associations who deal with this kind of traffic flow analysis every day. And they tell me these types of technologies truly save lives, and they're necessary in order to make sure that we're safeguarding the safety and the lives of our citizens and our cities and towns. So we need to make sure that when we're making this kind of decision, we take a step back and we say, look, is this really something we should be doing? And the answer is no. Is this a matter of life and death that people at the local level, who are the ones who are truly qualified to be making this kind of decision, not us? Because we kind of take some information here and there and we try to make our best decision. I get it, that's how we make our decisions here, but we don't look at this every day. City councils and planning commissions and planning boards, they make this decision every day. They know what they're doing on this. When they install one of these cameras, they're doing it for a reason. And so we need to make sure that we take our step back and allow local communities who know what they're doing on this issue to make sure that they can make their decisions. So members, I ask you, please vote no on this bill. This bill is bad for local communities. It's bad for cities, it's bad for towns, it's bad for drivers, it's bad for people who want to cross the street and survive on major intersections. Please vote no. Thank you.
Members, let's not forget we're on third reading, passage of bills. So let's be respectful to our members in the well. Representative Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, I urge a no vote on House Bill 1231. And my reason is real simple. We're just moving too fast. We have to slow it down. And when you think about traffic control, that's why we have red lights, that's why we have yellow lights, and that's why we have green lights. I represent the city of Aurora, and we have many streets there where we do have the red light camera, and it really is used to control traffic. I've heard the disabled community come to me that says when they try to go across the street on Chambers and Alameda, it takes them a little time to get across. And that red light camera causes the traffic to slow down so that people can get across the street in a safe manner. This is truly about public safety, and it is also about local control. So I would say not so fast. Do not ban red light cameras. Think about public safety. Think about the challenges that people have trying to get across the street. This is about traffic control, and it's about public safety. Vote no.
Representative Carver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I rise in strong support of this bill and the ban on red light cameras. Colleagues, governments at local, state, and national level will always find another use for government surveillance based on public safety. Colorado Springs did it when they put video cameras in their downtown for public safety.
Representative Carver, will you give me a moment, please?
Yes, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. We need to draw the line.
Members, Representative Carver is addressing the House as we're seated as the House of Representatives. Please give her the respect she deserves. Representative Carver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. At some point, you have to draw the line. And this is where the line is. our constitutional rights for due process, Fourth Amendment, and our privacy rights. I urge a yes vote on 1231.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. So I also represent parts of the city of Aurora, and I can tell you that the city of Aurora is the worst offender of using red light cameras in the entire city. So I could understand why the city of Aurora is concerned about losing these, because looking at a fiscal note from 2015 on a previous bill, they're making $3.4 million off of red light cameras. If you look at other cities across the state, in fact, if you combine Aurora with everybody else, municipalities are making over $7 million in revenue off of red light cameras. So this is definitely a revenue generator. And then we hear that there's a public safety aspect to it, but there have been studies that show that all you're doing is trading one accident for a different type of accident. You're trading T-bones for rear ends. So this doesn't improve public safety. The only number that seems to be increasing from this is the amount of money the cities are making. Members, this is a good bill for Colorado, because it does get rid of a terrible practice of cities being able to sit back and have a cash cow on intersections. Let's do the right thing for our citizens, for our constituents, for the many constituents I've heard in Aurora that have told me, let's get rid of these things. I ask for an aye vote on House Bill 1231.
Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Representative Melton is exactly correct. If safety is a concern, we have very, very smart traffic engineers in Colorado and employed by the local governments that can do tremendous things to improve safety, to re-engineer these. In fact, the greatest advancement in safety when it comes to intersections isn't red light cameras in the last 10 years. It's those countdown clocks that are used for pedestrians. Now, drivers, you shouldn't be looking at those, but people do. And they can make an informed, calm, rational decision long before they get to the intersection about whether they're going to run the red light or stop. That's what we're looking for, is a calm, rational decision from drivers, not a panicked, scared decision of should I gun it and put my pedal to the metal and try to get through this intersection as fast as possible, or should I slam on my brakes and risk getting hit from behind? They are right, the other folks today who have said that these cameras do increase rear-end accidents. They also can increase the speed of T-bone accidents. They may reduce the number of T-bone accidents, but when those accidents occur, you have two people gunning it trying to avoid that ticket, and the speed of that accident goes up and it becomes even more deadly. I want to thank Representative Lebsack for carrying the heavy burden of this bill all year long and working through law negotiations with both the Senate and the House and every other interested party, local governments. Local governments do have a stake in this. The city of Littleton, just across the way from me, was not making a profit on these cameras. And so they pulled the cameras out because they didn't see a public safety issue. And there was no profits. It was an easy decision for them. Aurora is now going through the same debate. And this is not the same bill as recent years. It doesn't include the speed vans that Denver, the city and county, just love so much. Doesn't include those. I urge a yes vote on this bill. Let's finally ban these red light cameras. Thank you.
Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I rise in support of House Bill 161231 for repassage. It's come through here a few times, and at this point, we're looking at just banning the red light cameras alone. And this is a matter of statewide concern. You can check the applicable section of the CRS, and you'll see that it begins with that declaration, and that's because the cities throughout the state are areas where all of us from time to time pass through. It affects everyone, and it is a matter of statewide concern. And I think that these These systems have been abused, and it's time to do away with them because we have not established in this state that this is serving the public safety interest that they are supposed to be there for. And I won't repeat the same arguments that everyone else has made. I just want to say that clearly this is, in fact, a matter of statewide concern, and I support the bill.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, I'm asking for a no vote on this bill. I've heard it stated with, it seems to be absolute certainty that these red light cameras are a violation of due process. And I have to ask, can you show me where it says that in a court opinion? I haven't seen it. I've been through 2 hearings on this. Haven't seen anything that says that a Colorado court has indicated that these cameras are a due process violation. In fact, there are a number of protections that are built into these programs by the municipalities that employ them. So I haven't seen it. It seems like I would have seen it by now in the opinions or in the committee hearings. Haven't seen anything in the newspaper. This has been something that the media has covered quite extensively. And had we seen those things, I'm sure the cities would have had to react. And if they were in fact found to be a due process violation and unconstitutional, then the cities would have to pull them off and not use them. So I haven't seen that either. So I guess I question that assertion quite a bit. But here's really the one thing I wanted to add to this debate that I don't think anyone has said so far. And it's really going to come down to a pro tip for y'all. And the pro tip is, if you don't want a red light ticket, don't run a red light. Thank you.
Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I also represent the city of Aurora, and I just want to dispel any misconception of the vote I made on the original bill, which was a yes vote. It seemed reasonable, and it seemed like it had some common sense in it and was a good balance, and now I feel like what we have now is definitely not, and I will be a no vote on the bill. I know that the city of Aurora has taken great pains to make sure that folks are able to actually see a video of their infraction. They're allowed to protest their infraction. If I'm not mistaken, even Aurora City Council has voted to put this issue on their own ballot. So I would say that this is a real invasion of local authority and local control, and as you know, I am a very big proponent of local control. So whether you're talking about education or oil and gas development or red light cameras, when the local municipality is responsible, they are the ones that should be making these decisions. So I urge a no vote, members.
Representative Wist.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, what really defines whether this is a matter of statewide concern or a matter of local concern are the legitimate constitutional issues that are being raised. And when you look at issues like due process, which I suggest to you are or is a matter of statewide concern, you look at whether or not the means here are narrowly tailored to achieve the objective here. And if the objective is to reduce accidents, I'd suggest to you that the statistics don't bear that out. And in fact, there are statistics that show that these red light cameras cause accidents and create more risk. So because the means are not narrowly tailored to achieve the objective, and because of the legitimate concerns that we have, we need to look at the real reason why these devices exist. These devices are ATM machines for local governments. They are cash-producing devices for local governments, which is not to say that we don't have legitimate objectives in terms of policing folks that violate traffic signals, but that's what police officers are for. Given the fact that the means are not accomplishing the objectives, and that the primary objective here, I'd suggest to you, is money and the generation of money for local governments, I strongly urge a yes vote.
Representative McCann. Is there anyone who would like to speak for the first time on House Bill 1231? Oh, Representative Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I just want to weigh in on the issue of a statewide concern. If these cameras were on small streets inside Denver, on Gilpin and Fifth or something that's within a town or a city itself, that would be one thing. But these cameras are on 6th Avenue and Santa Fe and Broadway and University. These are all state highways. They're paid for by the state. They're traveled by folks in the state. Many of the folks in this room are traveling from all over our state, and they're traveling on those roads passing by red light cameras. State's paying for those roads, and that's the residents that are driving by. There's no doubt that the local residents are using those state highways. But this is a state highway. This is a statewide concern, and therefore it's very appropriate to have a ban on red light cameras in those areas. So I would urge a vote to ban red light cameras. Thank you.
Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I reviewed a lot of the reasons why this bill is different than last year's bill, but there's one that I forgot to mention. Last year, one of the main lobbies against the bill was not here this year. The reason why is because the company behind many of these red light cameras are currently under federal investigation because they put money above public safety, and now there are people literally going to jail because they put money over public safety. This is the company that's behind many of these red light cameras. We learned in committee that not only do we need to put the brakes on these. We learned in committee that there are cities now looking at putting cameras on stop signs. Folks, we need to ban these now and send a loud and clear message that this is unconstitutional. We know it is, and we need to ban them. Thank you. Vote yes.
Is there any further discussion on the repassage of House Bill 1231? Representative Lebsack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem and members. Like I said before, 11 states have banned red light cameras outright. A yes vote says that you're concerned about the privacy of your constituents. You're concerned about due process. You're also concerned about safety because one of my colleagues spoke to the increase of accidents when red light cameras are actually installed. There's most recent studies from New Jersey and Florida. New Jersey's most recent studies show that when a red light camera is introduced to an intersection, it increases the number of rear-end collisions. And there's a reason for that. Some of the folks who live in the community are aware that the red light camera is there. And so as soon as that yellow light comes up, they slam their brakes. The person behind them rear-ends them. Members, this is an issue of public safety. We will reduce accidents around the state of Colorado by ensuring that we vote yes on this bill, which is an outright ban of red light cameras in every corner of the state effective December 31st, 2016.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1231. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 27 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1231 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I would ask that my name be removed as a co-sponsor.
Madam Majority Leader's name will be removed as a co-sponsor. Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I ask that my name be removed as a co-sponsor.
Madam Speaker's name will be removed as a co-sponsor. Representative Becker Kay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask that my name be removed as a co-sponsor.
Representative Becker Kay's name will be removed as a co-sponsor. Representative Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask that my name be removed as a co-sponsor.
The Speaker Pro Tem will remove Representative Pedersen as a co-sponsor. Representative Kraft Tharp.
Thank you. If my name was on there as a co-sponsor, I ask for it to be removed. Please.
Representative's name will be removed if it was on the bill. Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Ditto. Thank you.
Same. And somehow my name got on there. I don't think I ever added that, so I'd like my name removed too. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, and removing my name as a co-sponsor. I just want to make it clear I just want to thank Representative Lepsak for giving it a very good shot and trying to come up with a compromise.
Representative Ryden.
I have the same request. I don't believe my name was on as a co-sponsor, although I was okay with it in its original form. So if my name is there, I ask that it be removed.
Out of an abundance of caution, Representative Ryden's name will be removed. It was on there. Representative Everett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I'd like my name to be added as a co-sponsor. Thanks.
Can't do that, Representative Everett, unless you already added it. Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I don't care if my name is on a co-sponsor. One way or another, it doesn't matter. The governor's going to veto it anyway.
All right. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of Senate Joint Resolution 32.
Seeing no objection, the rules will be suspended as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Nope. Okay.
I didn't know you were doing it right now. I'm sorry.
Message from the Senate.
Madam Speaker, the Senate has adopted and transmits herewith Senate Joint Resolution 32 as amended.
Introduction of resolutions.
Senate Joint Resolution 32 by Senator Marble, also Representative Buck, concerning the designation of the overpass across the United States Interstate Highway 25 at Ketcher Road in Fort Collins as the Buchanan Liberty Bridge.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I now move that we suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of SJR 32.
Seeing no objection, the motion to suspend the rules by the Assistant Majority Leader is passed. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Joint Resolution 32.
SJR 32 by Senator Marble, also Representative Buck, concerning the designation of the overpass across the United States Interstate Highway 25 at Ketcher Road in Fort Collins as the Buchanan Liberty Bridge.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I am honored, and I ask that we move SJR 16032 and ask that it be read at length. Yeah.
Whereas Sergeant Thomas Tom Buchanan, a Marine and Colorado citizen, departed this life on March 5, 2016 at the age of 63. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on May 24, 1952, and spent his childhood in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. And whereas in 1970, Sergeant Buchanan joined the United States Marine Corps and was trained at the School of Ground Radio Repair at 29 Palms and subsequently stationed at Camp Pendleton during his years of active service. And whereas following his discharge in 1973, Sergeant Buchanan relocated to Colorado in 1980, where he worked and raised his family of 10 children with his wife of 27 years. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan was an active veteran and member of his community and was known for his humility, positive attitude, and great care for his friends and neighbors. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan was instrumental in forming the Loveland Marine Corps League Detachment in 2006, for which he was promoted to and served as a league commandant for 2 years and was serving as paymaster at the time of his death. And whereas among the many volunteer duties of the Loveland Marine Corps League Detachment, Sergeant Buchanan assisted in the collection of more than 10,000 worn American flags for proper disposal, the care and maintenance of the military cannon in Dwayne Webster Veterans Park, and the planning of several local parades and fundraisers. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan was one of the proud Veterans Day bell ringers of Loveland, Colorado, ringing the bells of freedom as has been done since 1918 and representing his city as a recognized regional site and model community for the observance of Veterans Day by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan also orchestrated the singing of God Bless America at local events, so much so that it became his trademark in the community. And whereas for his efforts, Sergeant Buchanan was awarded Detachment Marine of the Year in 2009. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan assisted veterans and others to become and remain sober through Alcoholics Anonymous, helping anyone who called, no matter what time of day or night, and for which many people attributed Sergeant Buchanan to having saved their lives. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan was resolute in his commitment to his local community, including his successful efforts alongside other community members to save a row of majestic pine trees lining a stretch of Highway 34 previously slated for removal as part of a road expansion project. And whereas as a proud veteran, Sergeant Buchanan was dedicated to assisting active duty families and wounded warriors, participating in memorial services and dedications, and orchestrating the display and waving of American flags on the Ketchter Overpass on Memorial Day, Labor Day, and Veterans Day. And whereas Sergeant Buchanan was a community leader, a true patriot, and dedicated his life to service, and it is fitting that he be recognized for his service to our nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 70th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that the overpass across United States Interstate Highway 25 at Ketchter Road in Fort Collins be designated as the Buchanan Liberty Bridge, that the Colorado Department of Transportation may accept and expend gifts, grants, and donations for the purposes of the initial placement of signs to mark the overpass as the Buchanan Liberty Bridge, and that the Colorado Department of Transportation may explore a cooperative agreement with the Board of County Commissioners for Larimer County for the maintenance of the markings for the Buchanan Liberty Bridge.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, please be seated. My dearest friend, Tom Buchanan, was as big as life. And I am honored and very proud to be co-sponsoring this Senate joint resolution with Senator Marble. Most notable was Mr. Buchanan's impact on others. His ability to inspire the patriotism and the engagement of his fellow citizens was well known. A staunch defender of the Constitution, Mr. Buchanan's adamant support of the constitutional values and principles will be remembered by many. He was a champion of liberty and a leader of the fight for freedom. As was previously mentioned, Mr. Buchanan leading the God Bless America all the time with his horn, and was an exhibit of an intense patriotism and pride in his country. We all should learn from his lessons in service, dedication, and devotion to our great friend, Mr. Tom Buchanan.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Joint Resolution 32? Seeing none and seeing no objection to a voice vote, the question before us is the passage of Senate Joint Resolution 32. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Senate Joint Resolution 32 is passed. Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I ask that the roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to Senate Joint Resolution 32. Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And I just want to welcome wife of Tom Buchanan, Dory Buchanan, daughter Angela Vara, daughter Rachel Chappelle, daughter Mary Jo Buchanan, grandkids Jocelyn Vara, Adromi Da Hosteller, Joshua Chappelle, Daniel Lehan, brother-in-law, and guests Elliot Flayden and Randy Hall.
Thank you, Representative Buck, and welcome family members of Mr. Buchanan.
Thank you all very much.
The next order of business is the confirmation of the Lieutenant Governor. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, if you'll look at your calendar, you'll see that this is actually listed for Monday. That was actually a mistake in the calendar. It was supposed to be listed for today. So with that, I move to suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of governor's appointment.
Seeing no objection, the rules will be suspended as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Joint Resolution 1022. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, okay. Mr. Kohler, please read the appointment to the office of Lieutenant Governor. We only do this once every 100 years, so bear with us.
Consideration of governor's appointment, Lieutenant Governor Donna Lynn of Denver, Colorado, occasioned by the resignation of Joseph Garcia for term expiring the second Tuesday in January 2019.
Madam Chairwoman of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the confirmation of Governor Hickenlooper's appointment of Donna Lynn to the office of Lieutenant Governor for a term expiring on the second Tuesday in January 2019.
That is a proper motion. Is there further discussion on the motion? Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Our committee did have a very interesting and informative conversation with Dr. Lynn, who does not want us to call her Dr. Lynn, but we will anyway if we want to. She demonstrated to me anyway, and I think to the majority of the committee, that she has a very extensive experience both in the public and the private sector, which I think will come in very handy to help us through a lot of the procedural things that we have to do, and her understanding that government is not business, even though she believes, and many of us do as well, that we could adopt some business practices in the way we do business in the government, and I think she will be very helpful in that role. I was very pleased to hear that because of our work on updating the procurement code. I think she'll be very helpful in that area. And she has climbed all the 14ers. She's been here 11 years. She loves Colorado. She's been heading up Kaiser Healthcare, so she understands the healthcare issues intimately. I just don't know how Governor Hickenlooper could have found a better candidate to replace our honorable Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia, who's leaving for another position. So I urge an aye vote, members. Thank you.
The motion before us is the confirmation of Governor Hickenlooper's appointment of Dr. Donna Lynn to the office of Lieutenant Governor. Is there any further discussion? Representative Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I, too, was able to be in the State Affairs Committee and got to hear the testimony of the governor and also Ms. Lynn. We also had the opportunity to meet her privately. She's a very nice lady. She works hard. She knows her business well. She's going to be, and she's been in Colorado for 11 years, climbed all the 14ers, been very impressed. And I'm also was very impressed with the governor's vision of having a COO for our state to run our $26 billion budget as a business. And his background is that of a businessman, and so he's very focused on that, and I think that that's a great position. Unfortunately, I voted against her nomination, the recommendation to our body here, not personally, of course, but because she's not a private sector person. She's worked 20 years in government, New York, big budgets, and very accomplished in that regard. But she's also worked 20 years in our healthcare system, And our healthcare system today, as we very much know, is the furthest thing from a private sector industry, with all the government funding from the feds and also from the state, all the mandates that we have on. And her specific industry or company has been a nonprofit. So that's not a private sector background. Secondly, because she's been 20 years plus in healthcare, she's a good proponent, as she stated herself, of expanding Medicaid. And the expansion of Medicaid is breaking our state. It's breaking our budget. The curve, the acceleration on the expenses that our state is faced with is astronomical. And she's a proponent to be able to work within that expansion and very focused on keeping that expansion. And then lastly, our state, and we have discussion here plenty about our taxpayer Bill of Rights and its limit and cap on the expansion of government. She realizes that it is the law of the land, and she knows that one of its focus is that our citizens want to weigh in on tax increases, and that's correct. But the number one reason that Tabor exists is to limit the expansion of government according to the revenues that are limited by inflation and population growth. And the workarounds, and she made it clear, and this body is as guilty of that as anywhere else, of being able to work around Tabor, how to increase the expenses and the revenues of the state government, even though Tabor limits them. She will copy the governor's attitude on being able to perpetually work around Tabor and make it as meaningless as possible. So for those reasons is why I voted not to recommend her nomination here, but of course, it's not personal. I like her personally, but I wanted to share my thoughts that we gathered with a personal meeting and also with her confirmation process. Thank you.
Representative Court.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I met Donna Lynn about 8-9 years ago when we worked on a panel together about our Colorado Constitution and the conflicting provisions that are in it. Not just Tabor, but Amendment 23, the Gallagher Amendment, the senior homestead exemption. There are numerous pieces and parts in our Constitution that cause conflict. We all know that. We all deal with those complications every day. And we had about, I don't know how many meetings during a given summer to talk about all of these issues and discuss the Constitution, what the Constitution is for, and all the pieces and parts that are in it that cause us to have difficulty making everything work. And as we said yesterday when we were talking about the hospital provider fee, we have one reason for being here, and that is to figure out how to fund the services that the people of this state want, need, and expect. And I know that Donna Lynn understands that. She understands that very thoroughly. She has been in government. She has been in the private sector. She understands healthcare. She understands management. She understands the issues of Colorado. She understands the issues of the people of Colorado. And let's never forget, that is what we are all elected to do. Think about the people, what they want, need, and expect from us, all of us, first floor, second floor. That is the job of the people in this building. And Donna Lynn understands that very, very thoroughly. She is a dedicated public servant. After many years in the public sector, she has extensive experience in the private sector. I believe, unlike the previous speaker, I believe that nonprofit is private sector work. So I think that that is a very valid experience to bring to the table as Lieutenant Governor. I wholeheartedly support having Donna Lynn be our next Lieutenant Governor and take over a lot of the responsibilities that our current fabulous Lieutenant Governor has had, as well as adding to that to address how government works, how efficient we can be, And you know, in the Legislative Council this morning, we talked about several bills that are looking at efficiency. I know that Donna Lynn understands those things and will bring that expertise to the Lieutenant Governor's office, and I strongly urge a vote in support of her appointment. Thank you.
Representative Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And I stand in strong support for the confirmation of Donna Lynn as being the next Lieutenant Governor for the great state of Colorado. She is an outstanding choice to serve, and I commend the governor for making this bold and courageous pick. She's competent, she's capable, she's qualified, and she'll do the best job for the state of Colorado. I also want to take this time to thank the Lieutenant Governor for his amazing dedication to our state, and I just want to welcome Dr. Donna Lynn.
Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to the confirmation of Donna Lynn for Lieutenant Governor, and I stand in very strong support of that selection that the governor has made. Now, this may be the first time, or perhaps folks out there who are watching or listening may have heard about this extremely well-qualified candidate for Lieutenant Governor. So let me just go through, and I'm not going to go through their entire resume, but I'm stunned. It goes on for pages and pages, and this is not like fluff. This is amazing, extraordinary background in corporate, nonprofit, and public service in her very long and distinguished career during her lifetime. Most recently, running the Kaiser Foundation Health Plan, and then before that, Kaiser Foundation Health Plan, Inc., and Kaiser Foundation Hospitals, Group Health Incorporated, and then before that, in terms of her public life, working for New York City, which is not exactly a small institution, and it is a large government entity. And you can imagine the diversity and the difficulty in working in that kind of environment, in that kind of city. It's a large city with great diversity and lots of competing players, maybe even having to deal with Donald Trump upon occasion. So she worked at the New York City Mayor's Office of Operations, the New York Business Group on Health Incorporated, the Mayor's Office on Labor Relations. So, you know, I'm just really almost amazed how the governor found somebody who is just so unbelievably qualified. I mean, she's just really amazing. And I had the opportunity to meet her recently. She visited with some of our members, and we asked her some really tough questions. And I was really just admiring her poise, and she was calm. She was thoughtful, she was dignified, she was respectful, and I think that's exactly the kind of demeanor in a lieutenant governor to succeed someone who has also been that way. And that's the type of person we need for our great state and the diversity of our great state, reflected even in this chamber. And I'll part with one more point, members. When she was answering those questions, she would answer them the best she could, and then she said, you know, but at the end of the day, I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think, because it's enough to know what I think. I want to know what you think. Here's a person who has such a sense of humility that is sometimes not so common in public life. She had such humility to say, you know what, I want to know what you think. And I hope to think that members, hopefully we will confirm her today and she will have your vote. But just know that this is not just something that she's going to say today. This is something she will carry forward when she is Lieutenant Governor. That she will listen to you, she will hear from you, and that I hope you will engage her in conversation about what are the issues that you feel passionate about and issues that your constituency is passionate about.
So again, members, I really hope that you will strongly support this nomination for Donna Lynn for Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for your time.
Representative Klingenschmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And I applaud the governor for selecting someone who is business-minded, someone who obviously has a lot of experience in both the private sector and the public sector. And I'm sure Donna Lynn will be confirmed, and I welcome her as that process goes forward. Unfortunately, I will be a no on today's vote. I'm just reading a news article that was brought to my attention from the Catholic News Agency that when Ms. Lynn was leader of Kaiser Permanente, and there was a group of hospitals, Catholic hospitals, that were funded by the Sisters of Charity, more than $300 million to join the Exempla system, there was a question about whether or not those Catholic hospitals would be required to or would be able to opt out of providing certain reproductive services to which they morally object. And here's a quote from Donna Lynn in the Catholic News Agency at that time. She said, "At this time, we have not finalized a plan that we believe fully meets the needs of our members." So those are her beliefs. That's her statement. Those are not my beliefs. I'll be a no vote.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And I am happy to support the confirmation of Dr. Donna Lynn. I had the opportunity to meet with her and to hear her in committee on Monday when we did our official beginning of the confirmation process. It's all new to me because we've not done it before, so I'm not quite sure how to phrase that. She is very qualified, and we've all heard that. She has an impressive resume. We've all heard that. I would like to stress that while some folks may have some issues with Kaiser being a nonprofit, I would like to point out that Kaiser is a very successful nonprofit and very good at delivering health care to its members and dedicated to keeping them healthy, and they have great outcomes. And so I would venture to say that Kaiser's a very successful nonprofit, and she has been an important part of Kaiser for well over 10 years. The one thing that I would like to say that has been talked about a little is that I believe that Dr. Donna Lynn, she does not like to be called doctor, she did tell us that, so Ms. Lynn will be a very approachable lieutenant governor, and as Lieutenant Governor Garcia has been, someone that we can all work with on both sides of the aisle to do the things we need to do to make our state great and continue to move forward. And so it is my honor and privilege to confirm and support her confirmation as Lieutenant Governor, and I hope that you will join me.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Just very quickly, there are two things I want to say. One is I think it'll be really good for the state to have someone that has extensive health care experience in this kind of position, because as chair of the Health Insurance Environment Committee, I really think health care is one of the most critically important issues that we're going to be dealing with as a state over the next several years. As people have mentioned, the expansion of Medicaid is costing the state a lot. We have the insurance exchange, which we are going to be watching over the next year or two to see how we can sustain that. So I think having someone in that position who has some fundamental understanding about the complexities of healthcare, I think will be really, really helpful. And secondly, anyone who can climb all 54 of those 14ers in 11 years and have 5 kids, my hat's off to her. I think I've climbed about 25 or 26, and I've lived here 40 years. So I think she'll be great. So hope you vote yes.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, and I too rise in support. There is going to be some pretty big shoes to fill in my book. I worked with Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia when I worked at CSU Pueblo when he was our president, and I was happy to be able to have the honor of working with him for a while. So when I met with her, I had some pretty hard questions about what Colorado looked like outside of Denver to her. And we had a lot of conversations about how sometimes there are two Colorados. Sometimes there's what's happening in the middle of the state, and sometimes it's completely different what's happening outside of the state. And she completely understood that and promised to continue to work on that and push to make sure that all of Colorado's voices are heard. So I ask you all to vote yes.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I, too, rise in very strong support of Donna Lynn as our next Lieutenant Governor. I had the privilege of meeting with her individually and also in a group context. What I saw, we've already heard. She listens. She focuses on listening. She has experience in all these sectors. And in all those sectors, they were large organizations, in many cases larger in terms of budget, in terms of employees, and in terms of diversity than indeed state government. And she does understand that we are one state, but we are a fabric woven of rural, of urban, of suburban, and all kinds of people. She will be a great Lieutenant Governor.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem and members. I ask for your vote. I'll be very brief. Ms. Lynn has an incredible record of working with a variety of different stakeholders, and she has been one of the most effective leaders to be able to do that. I really look forward to her being in her new role so we can continue to move forward the issues that impact Colorado.
Is there any further discussion on the Lieutenant Governor's appointment? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 11 no votes, 0 excused, the Lieutenant Governor's appointment is passed. Can you?
No, because there's nothing there,
Again, we only do this every 100 years, so, you know. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over consideration of resolutions to Monday, May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, the consideration of resolutions will be laid over as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Next order of business is consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1287.
House Bill 1287, Representatives Rosenthal and Wilson, also Senators Cook and Cafalas, considering requirement that the Department of Labor and Employment study the integration of alternative training by Colorado businesses.
Representative Rosenthal. Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move that we would concur with Senate amendments on House Bill 1287.
Please explain your motion.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, so the Senate saw to it that they wanted to ensure the privacy of the personal information of students, to ensure that, you know, when the study is conducted on how to engage these apprenticeships that Colorado hopefully will have someday in order to engage our young people, in order to build their careers, that to make sure that their privacy is protected.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Colleagues, in addition to strengthening the bill, This actually allows those in the other chamber who have been napping in their recliners not to be identified. So please support this bill and support Nappers Anonymous.
The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1287. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, Senate amendments to House Bill 1280, or motion to concur to Senate amendments to House Bill 1287 is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1287 as amended.
The question before the House is the repassage of 1287 as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 3 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1287 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1228.
House Bill 1228 by Representatives Arnton, Becker, J. Also Senators Donovan and Sonnenberg concerning alternative transfer mechanism for water rights that protects the agricultural use for which a water right was originally decreed while permitting renewable one-year transfers of a portion of the water subject to the water right.
Representative Becker, J.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move that we concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1228.
Please explain that motion, Representative Becker, J.
J. K.
J.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, the Senate did good work putting an amendment on this bill, and what they did is basically limit this bill to the South Platte Basin and the Arkansas River Basin as well, excluding the western slope inside of the bill. I think they were good amendments. It makes sense as we go and try to use this in some of our more over-appropriated basins to see if this will actually work as a mechanism for the state of Colorado, so I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to concur? Seeing none. Oh, Representative Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, if my colleagues here would have listened to me in ag, we could have saved you all this grief here today.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I voted against the bill with the Senate amendments. I will be a yes vote, so I would ask that you vote yes to concur.
The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1228. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, motion to concur passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1228 as amended.
Question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1228. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 1 no vote, 0 excused, House Bill 1228 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1101.
House Bill 1101 by Representative Young, all Senator Lundberg concerning medical decisions for unrepresented patients.
Representative Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move the House concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1101.
Representative Young, please explain your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Well, the Senate actually did great work on this. They clarified a citation that was in the bill on page 7. They also clarified language in line 4, or page 4, lines 14 through 16 on determination of decisional capability so that it mirrors and is consistent with the rest of the proxy statute, and added in clarity about the identity of the decision maker to ensure that it's in the medical record. These amendments actually bring 3 groups you may be familiar with all into agreement in support of this bill. One of them being COPIC, the other one being the Colorado Hospital Association, and the third being the Colorado Trial Lawyers Association. And with that, I ask for your aye vote on concurrence.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to concur? Seeing none, the question before us is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1101. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, the Senate amendments to House Bill 1101 are passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1101 as amended.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1101 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 50 aye votes, 15 no votes, 0 excused, House Bill 1101 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1354.
House Bill 1354, Representatives Mitch Bush and Becker J., also Senator Sonnenberg, concerning authorization for a school district to impose an additional mill levy for the sole purpose of funding capital construction, new technology, existing technology upgrade, and maintenance needs of the district without borrowing money.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move that we concur with the Senate amendments to House Bill 1354.
Please explain the amendments, Representative Mitch Bush.
Representative Becker and I believed that they had just gotten up from their nap and they were very rested because they added some very good wording. It's simply a wording change. Everywhere in the bill where it says the fund shall be used for capital construction by the schools, they've added technology, existing technology upgrade, and new technology. I urge an aye vote.
Is the question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1354. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 1 no vote, 1 excused, Senate amendments to House Bill 1354, the motion to concur is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1354 as amended.
The question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1354 as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 49 aye votes, 15 no votes, 1 excused, House Bill 1354 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1260.
House Bill 1260 by Representative Fields, also Senators Cook and Johnston, concerning extending the criminal statute of limitations for sexual assault to 20 years.
Representative Fields.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, I move that the House concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1260.
Please explain the amendments, Representative Fields.
Basically, what the Senate has done is they extended the statute of limitation to 20 years plus all other crimes that happened during that same episode. So I urge an aye vote.
The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1260. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Arndt and Quorum. Close the machine. With 46 aye votes, 18 no votes, 1 excused, the motion to concur is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1260 as amended.
Question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1260 as amended. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 2 no votes, 1 excused, House Bill 1260 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1309.
House Bill 1309 by Representative Lantin, also Senator Marble, concerning defendant's right to counsel in certain cases considered by municipal courts.
Representative Lantin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I asked for concurrence on the Senate amendments to House Bill 1309.
I will treat that as a motion to concur. Please explain the amendments, Representative Lantin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, for your depth of understanding. The Senate actually did a smart thing. They gave our municipalities a little extra time. So the effective date of the bill was moved from August 10th, 2016 to May 1st, 2017. And I asked for an aye vote.
The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1309. Seeing no, Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Well, members, the Senate gave them an additional year to do something that actually isn't really necessary. So I would ask for a no vote on this. The counties are already doing this. They're offering counsel to defendants that come into the municipal courtrooms and have attorneys when an appearance is necessary to meet the requirements of the court orders and decisions in the court. So I would still remain a no on this bill, and the concurrence changing the date really doesn't change the substance of the bill.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 42 aye votes, 22 no votes, 1 excused, the motion to concur is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1309 as amended.
Question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1309 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 44 aye votes, 20 no votes, 1 excused, House Bill 1309 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1360.
House Bill 1360 by Representatives Landgraf and Lantino, Senator Lundberg, concerning the continuation of the regulation of direct entry midwives by the Director of Division of Professions and Occupations, Department of Regulatory Agencies, in connection with implementing the recommendations contained in the Sunset Report prepared by the Department.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move that we concur with the Senate amendments to 1360.
Please explain the amendments. Representative Lantino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. The Senate did a couple things. One was they aligned the definition of perinatal mortality to make sure that all of the departments aligned so that CDPHE and DORA had the same definitions. They added some requirements for education for suturing so that everybody had to have that education, not just the recently graduated, so that nobody, as one of our lobbyists put it, grandfathered in or grandmothered in. And they moved the sunset from 7 years to 5 years. And then we added an amendment in our health committee to require what's known as VBAC births, that which is vaginal birth after cesarean, to not allow direct entry midwives to do that. But the Senate voted to remove that amendment, and one of the senators who voted in support of that was Senator Aguilar, who is a physician, and so I felt like I couldn't argue with her logic, and so I will agree with their amendments.
So we'd ask for a yes vote.
The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1360. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 60 aye votes, 4 no votes, 1 excused, the motion to concur is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1360 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1360 on Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Everett and Salazar. Close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 2 no votes, 1 excused, House Bill 1360 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 10006.
House Bill 1006, Representatives Becker, Kane, Garnett, all Center Hill. Consider clarification of the scope of the exemption from government charges for property owned by or leased by a housing authority or owned by lease to or under construction by an entity that is wholly owned by an authority, an entity in which an authority has an ownership interest, or an entity in which an entity wholly owned by an authority of which an authority is the sole member has an ownership interest.
Nicely done, Mr. Kohler. Representative Becker Kay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the House concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1006.
Please explain the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Senate added a technical amendment to make a cross-reference of one section of statute to another section of statute at the request of the Department of Revenue. It didn't change the bill substantively and should make it easier for the Department of Revenue to know what proper sales and use tax exemptions are. I ask for an aye vote.
The question before us is Senate amendments to House Bill 1006. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, the motion to concur is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1006 as amended.
Question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1006. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Fields. Close the machine. With 45 aye votes, 19 no votes, 1 excused, House Bill 1006 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Announcements and introductions for the body. I see Representative Ryden coming down. Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, we will be back in our usual meeting room in LSBA on Monday at 1:30. We will not be hearing Senate Bill 185 with Representative Melton. We will schedule that for Wednesday, May 4th on adjournment. Otherwise, the calendar at this point remains the same. However, it could change depending on any new bills we might get over the weekend. Thank you.
Further announcements or introductions? Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Seeing no further announcements and introductions, colleagues, you are free to go. We have some procedural motions to make. Enjoy your weekend and drive safe.
Have a nice weekend, everyone. Reports of committees of reference.
Committee on Business Affairs and Labor, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1370 be postponed indefinitely. House Bill 1455 be amended as follows and necessary to be referred to the Committee on Health Fair recommendation. The Committee on Finance, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1447 be amended as follows and necessary to be referred to the Committee on Appropriations and Fair recommendation. The Committee on Health Insurance and Environment, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1435 be amended as follows and necessary to be referred to the Committee on Appropriations and Fair recommendation. Senate Bill 147 be referred to the Committee on Health Fair recommendation. The Committee on Judiciary, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1448 be referred to the Committee on Health Fair recommendation. The Committee on Legislative Counsel, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1031 be referred to the Committee on Health Fair recommendation. House Bill 1077 and Senate Bill 156 and Senate refer to the Committee of the Whole Fair recommendation. The Committee on Transportation and Energy, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 140 be referred to the Committee of the Whole Fair recommendation. Senate Bill 173 be referred to the Committee of the Whole Fair recommendation.
Signing of bills, resolutions, and memorial reports.
The Speaker has signed Senate Bills 30, 41, 65, 158, 166, 171, and
Mr.
172.
Kohler, please print the remaining of that report in the journal. Message from the Senate.
Madam Speaker, the Senate has
Kohler,
adopted.
please print the remaining of that report in the journal. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move the special orders calendar on Monday, May 2nd be made the general orders calendar on Monday, May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, that will be made as a general orders calendar as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move the following bills be calendared for Monday, May 2nd. House Bill 1455, Senate Bill 147, House Bill 1448, House Bill 1031, House Bill 1077, Senate Bill 156, Senate Bill 140, Senate Bill 173.
Seeing no objection, those bills will be added as a general orders on Monday, May 2nd. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move the House stand in adjournment until 10 a.m. on Monday, May 2nd.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader, I do have one announcement. That announcement is there's a two sponsor additions to House Bill 1234. Representative Singer will be added as a co-prime sponsor with Representative Klingenschmidt, and Senator Marble will be added as a co-prime sponsor with Senator Merrifield. Quite the sponsors. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Now I move the House stand in adjournment until 10 a.m. Monday, May 2nd.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in adjournment until Monday, May 2nd at 10 a.m. Have a good weekend.